Okay, so how does it okay. It's not like, yeah, no, it's on the live view. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't like me moving. I don't know why the other device isn't working. It's really weird. Okay, well, it's about as good as we're gonna get here. We can work on it. Hopefully, I think it's just because we're in the middle of nowhere. I mean, the best signal right now is coming from my phone. Oh, it'll look okay then, for at least for now. Okay, well, gotta grab some of these cards, hold on. I won't. Kind of hard to direct this camera, but this does have my YouTube on it. Okay, cool. I wonder if it looks different on every platform. Because on DLive it looks good. What's up, Pam Dini? No, it looks good on DLive. Okay. Yeah, because I got 5,000 bandwidth now. Okay. Cool. Howdy. Pretty good. How are you? Good. Yeah. Behind enemy lines. Here.
Oh, I love you. We watch you all the time.
God bless you. God bless you.
Good for you to be out here. Thank you.
God bless you for coming out to this event.
90%.
And I think we're going to be starting speeches here pretty soon. I'm just going to keep singing though. I see the speakers over there getting ready. So, I'll do one or two more tunes, and then hopefully you guys are staying warm out there. So thank you so much for being here, you guys. Thank you.
So I don't know if you guys can see down here, but it's kind of a worn horse town. I drove by their police station or their fire station on the way in, and they're still using vehicles from like probably the 60s, looks like. So that was cool to see.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be getting speaking, but before we do the speeches, we're going to start with the Star Spangled Banner. So if you would like to remove your hats and just, we'll be saluting this flag. If everyone wants to gather, we're gonna start the event, start the speeches. We're just gonna kick it off with the Star Spangled Banner here. So come gather around. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good job, Robbie. Get it.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Love you guys. Thank you.
All right, welcome everyone. We good here now? All right. Welcome everyone. My name is Kevin Hunter. I'll be your MC for today. I'm just the really good-looking guy who tells you everybody's coming up here. So, other than that, I don't have words of wisdom for you today. We're going to have Bob come and open us up with a opening prayer. Bob.
Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight, this afternoon, and we come before you with a contrite heart. It's been a tough year, and you bring the evil as well as the good upon a nation, and you brought the evil that came from China. And now that after 10 months, we know that most of it is just a flu, and our governments have shut down and have persecuted us and have showed us that it's very hard to conduct business as usual. And Father, I just ask that you'd forgive us for all our sins that we have done and bestow upon us a blessing now that you would open the ears of these government officials, that they would allow us to just simply conduct business as usual and move on. We also pray that you would give us one last glimmer of hope, that you would guide President Trump. It's not over yet, and we know that you set up kings and you bring down kings and you set up principalities and powers, and that there is no power in this world but that isn't authorized by you. And Father, we just ask that you forgive us and grant us one more chance, and we're going to thank you for it in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
All right, I have a letter to share with you guys from the mayor, Sean O'Neill, and he asked me to read this here for you. So I'm going to skip to because it's just a couple opening greeting paragraphs here. He says, union represented employees are required to attend and host public meetings. I am concerned if we were to have in-person meetings and violate the Open Public Meetings Act, the city would be potentially face grievances, including legal action by the Teamsters Union. If an employee were to become sick or injured conducting a meeting in violation of the OPMA, the city would or could be found negligible. I have reached out to the Teamsters Union to see if their stance on this issue would be. Defying the order would also put us at risk for legal action from Labor and Industries and jeopardize our insurance as well. Merely violating the OPMA carries stiff penalties and fines for each board member who attends a meeting where action is taken in violation of the OPMA. I am also concerned if we are to violate the order and have an illegal meeting, if any action taken during that meeting would be considered null and void. I personally would like to get back to in-person meetings. I've reached out to both Commissioners Pollock and Swope with minimal response. I I have discussed this issue at length with our emergency manager officer, Chief Sayers, and our attorney, Jim Buzzard. Both have advised me, wow, that's a great name for an attorney, right? Buzzard. We need more buzzards. Both advised me that the risk of violating the OPMA far outweigh the benefits. I am hoping the restrictions are lifted sooner than later so we can get back to the work we're so passionate about. All right, so that's from the mayor. I'm sure a number of our speakers today will have a few comments about some of the things he made in there. But I would like to invite Bob Bozarth up here, who helped put this whole event together. So Bob, come on up.
Thank you all for coming. Hey, I got a question for you. Do you feel like you've lost your voice with our government?
Yes.
Do you feel like you've lost your voice with our government?
Yes.
Thank you. Let me ask you another question. Are you willing to fight to get it back?
Yes.
Good, because we're here to fight. We're going to fight to get our voices back. We're going to fight to get our republic back.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I'm on the Napavine Planning Commission, and I'm going to try to explain to you a few of the difficulties that we've had with this telephone conference thing. What happens with the Planning Commission is we review plans that for people that want to do a project. They might want to do a boundary line adjustment. They might want to build a house. They might want to build a shopping center. And oftentimes, that needs to come through the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission is an advisory committee to the council and to the mayor. So, what happens on a telephone line that don't happen is you cannot roll a set of plans out on a telephone line. And in order to make this thing realistic, you've got to have a face-to-face eyeball discussion with these people. And the problem is that we're not allowed to do that anymore, and it will perpetuate into a situation where we are jeopardizing projects that generate revenue for government, because as we know, government makes not one dime on their own. Not one dime. It's each and every one of you that supports government. The last couple meetings at the Planning Commission, we decided to make a statement to that effect. So we've been having our meetings right out here in this parking lot, and we've been watching our paperwork blow across the parking lot. We've got bad lighting. We do bring Old Glory with us. Where's Old Glory? We bring Old Glory with us, which gives me a great deal of comfort. And I believe that we've got God on our side. So getting back to the commerce thing, one of the things that the mayor and just about every other public servant is concerned about, I think their heart's in the right place, but their head's up there. We'll leave it right there. So, what they're concerned about is the union suing them because one of the employees might get COVID. They're concerned that Lewis County Health Department will come down on them and maybe tattletale to L&I, and then they'll have an L&I person out here fining them. They're concerned that they've already got a lot of approved grants, and they want to make sure that that money supply don't get cut off so that they can widen streets and build buildings over here at the park and spend money down on exit 72. And that's all good stuff, and I respect that. They're legitimate concerns. But here's the point I really want to make, is we've got small businesses dropping like flies all over this state. And without those small businesses, without people being employed, there is no revenue to send to the municipalities, to the counties, to the state, to the feds. The bottom line is we're all going broke. And we've got to stand up and say enough of this is enough of this. As far as the COVID thing, I want to mention one thing that is very revealing about the COVID. I'm not saying it's not a bad disease. I'm not saying that a lot of people haven't been very sick and died over this thing. But here's the realistic numbers of it. If you take all of the deaths in 2019, whether they got ran over by a freight train or died of a heart attack, and you take all of the deaths in 2020, you're going to find out that 19,000 people died in 2020 less than they did in 2019. So let that sink in. There's got a lot of speakers here with a lot of good messages, and you guys are sick and tired of listening to me, I'm sure. But I'm going to leave you with this. Stay in the fight. God's on our side. Don't give up, and don't, for crying out loud, give up on our public servants. Even though we can't go to public meetings and have chats with them, get their phone numbers, build a relationship with them, and don't let them off the hook. God bless you all. Thank you.
Good timing from the train conductor there, Bob. All right, our next speaker, he's in the House of Representatives now, but most importantly, is in the United States Marine Corps. We have Joel McIntyre come join us.
Hey folks, thank you for coming out. I'm going to try and be brief. Let's see, does this thing come off? Alright, there we go. Alright, so like I said, thank you for coming out. These are truly times that try men's souls. Amen. They really are. This is our stumbling block in our generation. This is our revolution. Our page of the history books is being written right now. And I really think that our children's children are going to learn about this thing in school, and then they're going to turn around and ask, where were you standing? What were you doing at this time of great need and great struggle? And we have to own up and talk about which side were we on. Were we on the side who is going to be weak-kneed and flail and fall over? Or were we the ones who stood up for what was right, for what was reasonable? I hear, because of some results from the 2020 election, some of my friends say, I feel like maybe quitting. Your contributions to our cause have never been more needed than they are right now. This is no time to quit. I don't think I'm talking to quitters. You're here, so you're not the quitters. But we all know somebody who has hung their head after this election and just said, is it really worth the time and the efforts that we put in? Yes, it is, because you don't win every battle. If you just look at the Revolutionary War, look at George Washington. He lost a battle. People leaving in swaths from his ranks, abandoning him. And it looked hopeless. It looked absolutely hopeless. Any reasonable person could have said, George, this is done. It's over. You had your fun. Now let's go hang, because we're gonna get hung. So let's go run away to Mexico. Or, let's get out of here. Let's go somewhere. But no, he says, Christmas night, when you're not supposed to be fighting, because the gentleman rules of war say you don't fight on Christmas. He crosses the River Delaware with the ice, and through the middle of the night marches his men through the snow, that small band of patriots, that small band of warriors. And if you know, it wasn't necessarily the British, it was the British enlistees, the Hessians. They hired these assassins, these Germanic warriors to come over and fight on their behalf, and they're drinking in the pub and having a great time. Guns are over by the door, no one's paying attention, and George kicks the door open and says, nobody panic, boom, we're taking the place over. And they all, geez. So he captured this place. and they surrendered. So there was hardly any deaths. No, there was very little damage. Which is, I mean, if you ever read Sun Tzu, Art of War, that's how to win a battle. He says a real battle is one when there's no bloodshed, when the other side drops the weapons and says, "We're done. We give up." That's victory. That's real victory, true victory. And so that victory spread like wildfire. And thousands of new recruits came to George Washington and begged, "Would you take us on? We want to be a part of this." And maybe the people who had walked through the snow, who had bloody feet and amputated toes and stuff, could have been a little upset and said, "Well, where were you? Where were you when the other day when we were doing this heroic act, when we were relying on the divine providence of God to get us through the night, just to make it, to have that victory? And now you show up at this late hour and want to be part." You know what, folks? There's not a late enough hour. Anyone can join our ranks and help be a part of the right side of history on this issue. That we've been closed down. Our rights have been infringed. Our natural and constitutional rights have been infringed. There's no question about that. There's no question about that. And little by little, people are finally starting to say, "I'm sick of this. We're opening our restaurant. I can't take it anymore." And I cheer and I say, welcome to the brotherhood. Welcome to this modern patriotism, this modern rebellion that we have with a small r rebellion, where we are willing to stand up for ourselves. I want nothing from anybody. I don't want to infringe on anyone else's rights. I don't want anyone else's wealth, anything else that they have. We simply want to live our lives. We simply want to live our lives and be able to pursue happiness in the way that fits us and is in line with our conscience and our Creator. That's all we want. And more people are going to join. They will soon be joining. So we need to be ready with open arms to allow them a place in. And to feel like they belong and to say there is something for you to do. We all have talents. I don't have the talents that Kevin has. I can't make videos. I don't know how to cut and splice and make things look cool that aren't cool. Not that video's not cool, it's great. But you take these cuts of things and everyone has a talent. Everyone has something they can do and contribute. In 2018, I ran for a state representative. I was not elected. It was close. It was a hard year for Republicans, to say the least, but it was close. But I could have just taken that and said, "Well, that's a sign. I'm not cut out for this." And I could have just walked away. But I knew that I had something to contribute. I didn't say everything I had to say. And plus, I was deployed overseas because I'm in the Marine Corps. And so in 2018, most of my campaign was done overseas. And that's not a good way to campaign. Don't ever do that. And so I said, I'm going to give it another try, a real try, where I'll knock doors, I'll go to every meeting, I'll do everything that I can to be a part of this cause of freedom and liberty. And it turned out that with not just my efforts, but with your efforts and your help and your assistance, we were able to flip a seat from Democrat to Republican in Washington State. So it was the only state house that was flipped on our side. And so you might say, well, gosh, man, for all the efforts we did in 2020, but we had a really good strategy, a good winning plan, and a good campaign team. And so I know it can be done. The gentleman that I beat was a 20-year incumbent, entrenched as they can possibly be, and well-liked by peers and opposition-like people. Said he's a good guy. And that's the worst person you want to go up against. You want to go up against a slimy dirtball. That's because then you can just throw mud at them all day, and it's merited. It's like, look at this terrible person, this corrupt, evil pig. But he's a nice man, just not the fighter that we deserve here. And that was my case, that we can do better. And now that I'm in the House of Representatives, I am doing what I can to fulfill that pledge to you. So I thank you for this opportunity. One last thing. My ancestors were from here. My mother's side were Marcellas. So I don't know if anyone here knows any Marcellas that are still around Lewis County, but they left. They were chicken farmers somewhere in Toledo, but Napavine as well, Winlock. They lived all around here and then went down to Cathlamet, where I'm from. That's where I live today. So it's just a little side note that I have roots deep in the 19th and here as well. Thank you so much, and we'll let Kevin bring the next one up. Thanks.
All right. When I was in the military, my colonel said, Kevin, you got a choice when you get in front of people. You can either baffle them with bullshit or you can dazzle them with brilliance. And with that, I want to bring up Jim Walsh. Come on up, Jim. Dazzle us with some brilliance.
I was certain you were going to say the other one, Kevin. Well, how y'all doing? Are you here to be free people?
Yes!
Are you here to make sure that the people's voice is heard?
Yes!
In Napavine, in Olympia, in Washington, D.C. That's great. You know, there's a lot going on, and not all of it good, with these lockdowns and these shutdowns. They started with COVID. And you know the drill. It was going to be 14 days. Give us 14 days to lock down, and we'll flatten the curve, and everything will be okay. Well, that was 300 days ago. It's not about the COVID. I mean, COVID is a virus. COVID is a risk. But the lockdowns, the proclamations, the indefinite extensions, they're not about COVID. Now, lately, we've been hearing that there are threats against the Capitol in D.C., that there are threats against the Capitol in Olympia. I just came from Olympia. That's why I'm dressed in my monkey suit. And up there, we can get onto the campus. If you're a legislator, you can get onto the campus of the Capitol. But our offices are locked down. I can't get into my office in Olympia. And the reason, this is not a COVID, the reason for this is that the governor says there are threats against the Capitol, against the legislators. But it's not about threats. What it's about, whether they claim it's COVID or they claim it's threats of violence, what it's about is control. What they want is to control the levers of government so that we, the people, can't get to them, can't reach them, can't participate in a city planning commission's meetings, can't participate in the state committee hearings where you might be able to say a few words about a bill you didn't like, can't participate in the inauguration of a new president in the United States Capitol in D.C. The takers, the collectivists, the bureaucrats, they want to cut off the people's access to government. Will you stand for that? No! And well, you should not. Because this control, this cutting off your access to your government, literally, up in Olympia right now, a bunch of people who say they don't believe that walls work have set up a wall around the state capitol. This is about control. They want to control you. They'll do it by making you afraid, or they'll do it by literally locking you out of your capital. The Capitol in Olympia, like the Capitol in D.C., belongs to you. Now, this doesn't mean that we will tolerate violence. We will not. This doesn't mean that we will wink at lawlessness. We will not. If someone is violent against another citizen, another person, that person who's violent has committed a crime. But a free citizen who stands for her God-given rights and protests the control, protests the taking, protests the tyranny, is not a criminal. That person is a patriot. This country was not founded by fearful men and women. This country, this state, and God bless us here in Lewis County, this county was founded and built by people who were brave, who stood for their rights to property, who stood for their rights to conscience, who stood for their rights to praise their God in their way and protect their family in their way. Do not tolerate the would-be tyrants who will tell you you can't own property, you can't protect your family, you can't sing in church, and you can't stand for the principles that you believe in. They're wrong. We're right. We will fight for your voice to be heard in small local halls, like here in Napavine, in bigger, fancier halls, where we wear blue suits in Olympia, and in the greatest halls of all in D.C. A true servant of yours, a true servant of the people, will never tell you that you can't meet to talk about planning in Napavine. A true servant of the people won't blame a union. It's not the union's fault that this meeting isn't happening. It's the bureaucrats' fault. It's the tyrant's fault. It's the taker's fault. Be bold. Be brave. Stay strong. And fight tyranny with every breath you've got. God bless you.
See? Dazzle us with brilliance. He never disappoints. All right. The next gentleman I'm going to have come up does a talk radio show called Marty and Doug. And he was a lieutenant governor candidate and also the former chair of the Pierce County Republicans. Let's welcome Marty McClendon.
Thank you all for coming out. This is fantastic. You know this. We're in a fight, right? It's interesting how the letter from the mayor talked about the unions and talked about L&I. When we're in a nation now where we're supposed to have freedoms, where we actually have weaponized bureaucracies that actually can fine a business for doing their constitutional duty, where are we at? Or where a mayor was more afraid of a union suing them? Did we give the consent to the union? No. Did we give the consent to L&I to fine us? No. You know, I was looking up earlier, too, about, you know what? Our Constitution's pretty cool. It says that our rights come from God, okay, which means the government is there to protect those rights. So the government can't take away my rights, right?
Right.
Okay, and so yet, what have we seen? I'm like, okay, well, what else? So you have a lot of people talking about, well, I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of an attack on the Capitol. I'm afraid of in Olympia, right? But there's threats here, right? Now, I pulled up my Bible today, you know, as a former pastor as well. It says, 2 Timothy says, "For God did not give us a spirit of timidity or cowardice or fear, but He's given us a spirit of power and of love and sound judgment and personal discipline." It says, "and a well-balanced mind, a sound mind and self-control," right? Isn't that what we want in someone that serves us? right? Not someone that's fearful, but someone says, no, these are the rights that we were elected to protect the people that sent us here, right? Protect those rights that were given to us by God. It also says in Joshua 1:9, says, have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous? Do not be terrified or dismayed or intimidated, for the Lord God goes with you wherever you go. Our founding fathers knew this. They understood that our Constitution was written because they understood that the pursuit of life and happiness, right? Yet in our state, we're seeing this thing, okay, our rights come from God, government's put there to protect those rights, and they can't take those away, and yet, do we have a First Amendment right? Do we have a Second Amendment right that we cannot exercise? Huh? Now, the document says we do, right? But de facto, right, I know we have rights that if we don't choose to exercise them, we still maintain them. But if we choose to exercise our right of free speech, our right of assembly, our right to keep and bear arms, and we're told we can't by government, do we still have our rights? We don't unless we fight, right? Unless we speak up and use our rights, we lose our rights. Right now we've got a government in place, an executive at the governor's level, at the national level, at every level, telling us that we don't have a right to exercise them. Or if we do, we have to use them in a certain area. We'll establish a free speech zone for you to stand in a cubicle. I didn't see that in the Constitution, did you? I don't see it anywhere. And yet, if we allow them to put us in free speech zones, we don't have the First Amendment right of free speech, do we? Right? So I want to talk about what we're doing, what we're seeing now. You've seen it all, not just COVID, not just shutdowns, but churches, right? You can't worship. You can't sing, okay? How many have complied with the idea that, okay, I'm going to shut down to go along to get along? Okay? We fenced off Olympia and D.C. The legislators moved to exempt itself from scrutiny. You see this? A bill that put on the floor the other day, Jim, where they said, oh, you can't check into elections. You can't look into what we do at Olympia. Aren't elected representatives there to serve us? Okay? If we allow this to happen, we don't have our rights anymore. Our bottom line is, on top of that, we have a coordinated effort from big tech, whether it be Twitter or Facebook or whatever, that's a private company given special protections that now says if you have a contrary opinion against the status quo, the current political powers, we will deplatform you. We will shut you down. In fact, we'll go after your jobs so you can never work again, right? I've been threatened that way too, just by having a conservative viewpoint. A viewpoint that God created us, right, for a special purpose. The fact that we actually have an opposing viewpoint, that people want to be free, that we want to be able to raise our kids the way we want to raise them. That shouldn't be controversial, and yet it is. I think, and you guys know this, our very liberty, our posterity, and our way of life is in jeopardy right now. We're in a battle. We're in an economic, we're in a spiritual, we're in a political battle. And like Jim said, and our good friend Joel said as well, this is not a physical fight, but it's a fight where we have to stay engaged. We can't get discouraged. We've got to be focused on the next step by supporting those that are in there fighting on our behalf, by getting more people to run for office in the local level, like here in Napavine, and the county level, and the state level, and the city councils. But today we're here. Closed public meetings is an affront to our freedom, to our Constitution, and creates a greater mistrust. Do you trust the mayor more because they're closed, or less, right? We trust that if we can't trust our election system, we can't trust our elected officials, then we don't have representation, right? The whole idea is we elect people because they represent our values. Go Jim, go Joel, fight for us in Olympia because we can't be there because we have jobs, right? This is important. So, what I'm encouraging all of us to do today, really, not only is to reach out, to email, to call, to testify on these bills, but when Jim and Joel are there right now and other people that are representing you, and Bob right here, is lift their arms up. Support them. Because they're the ones that are actually in the fight right now, and we need to have their back. So they know that whenever they speak out and call for help, that 1,000 people show up. That they have 500 letters show up. 1,000 phone calls. It's how we mobilize. Same thing I want to encourage, that on the radio show we talk about this all the time, but I believe that everyone has a God-given talent or gift, and oftentimes you're being called to run for local office. The more we get people, the more we can fill the bench, the more people we have speaking our language about freedom and liberty and choice, the better, and the more we actually have leverage in the political process. It's important. So if you've got a nudge in your heart, please reach out, talk to us. All right. I have a question for you. You've heard this growing up. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? We are, as Joel said, this is the time where we will look back and our kids and grandkids will say, what did you do? Right? We are on the cusp right now of losing every freedom we have of our very way of America. Until we take back our political system, until we take back our education system, until we start instilling these values that we grew up with into the next generation, we have no hope. And I'm a guy that's eternally optimistic. I really am. I'm a happy guy, but I understand at the point we're in that we have to fight. And the way we fight is to continue to show up, to continue to call out, to continue to keep on fighting. As Joel said, too, he ran for a second time. I've ran a few more times than Joel has. And the idea here, though, is you've heard it, and we've taught it to our kids. You never lose until you give up. Right?
That's right.
I'm going to keep on fighting and keep on winning because I will never, ever give up. Okay? We are blessed in this nation. We're blessed in this state. We're blessed in this county as well. But not unless we keep it and do something about it, right? Because everybody is watching this. So once again, I will end with this. Esther 4:14. For if you remain silent at this time, liberation and rescue may arise from some other place. But for you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have been attained royalty or position for such a time as this. I think every one of us is here for a reason. Okay? This time will tell what happens in the future. So whatever you can do, thank you for showing up, and tell your friends. Share it on Facebook, whatever it may be. Don't give up. Be encouraged. The battle has just begun, but it is a battle. And we have champions leading the way, and we'll have more to send them support. Amen?
Amen.
God bless you all.
Well, no matter how difficult any challenge seems, there's always a path back. There's always a way to win. And one of the people we have with us here today, our next speaker. That's the sound of money going by there, people. All right, our next speaker is one of the leading activists in the state in the conservative movement. We'll give you all kinds of great ideas on your pathway back if you jump onto his channel, We the Governed, his website, We the Governed. Help me welcome Glenn Morgan.
Thank you. I'm going to compete with the train back here a little bit. I want to just deal with really just two issues I think it's worth talking about. One, I wanted to deal very specifically with the letter from your mayor. And then I want to talk to you about what you can do about it. And as somebody who's actually been involved in litigation over the Open Public Meetings Act, and as somebody who actually appreciates that act, and appreciates the fact that that's actually a good law, it was passed by a citizen initiative in 1972, explain and walk through the elementary steps that it takes to comply with the OPMA, and you should be able to get your planning department back and running. And I have to tell you, as a property rights guy, I can't believe I'm here defending a planning department. And that's the thing. Most of these lockdown the protests around the state against lockdowns are dealing with people's private businesses, right? And that's what most people are concerned about. But now we're starting to run into a situation where either out of ignorance or just incompetence, local government thinks that they can just, and laziness maybe too, they think that they can just do things like this that actually do harm the economic development or the advancement of citizens in the community. It's entirely unnecessary. I'm kind of glad that we're drawing attention to that because it's an easy thing to fix. It is not, L&I is not coming out here to find these guys. Even as incompetent and bad as your local union might be, doing their job is actually not an impossible task for them, even for the Teamsters. And I'm sure that they can find a way to actually run a meeting compliant with the OPMA. If you can't make a fix here at City Hall, then why do you think you can make any difference back in DC? Start locally where you actually have the power and the ability to make a substantial impact. As much as I laugh, it is very possible that he's a reasonable enough person that if enough of you come and talk to him, that he can probably make that change and start opening the meetings and maybe run them, maybe for the first time, compliant with the law. But at least this is a good education for him, and you can help educate him as citizens who live here. And then you can start working with your county. Lewis County is one of the better counties, so you have the ability to make a pretty big impact. But you have to organize locally, and I think too much of our time as activists we've spent focused on a city 3,000 miles away from us and obsessing about all the things that are going on back there with all the drama and the clown show and the incompetence and the swamp and the nastiness, when the reality is most of what happens in your day-to-day life that's going to affect you is happening right here. It's happening in this building here, it's happening just over here in the Lewis County Courthouse, and it's happening just, you're only 40 minutes away from Olympia. And so that's where you can make an impact. You can make a much bigger impact there. And more importantly, you can make that impact if you organize with other people who think the same way you do. And so getting organized with people who share your values and your concerns and who have different skill sets and finding ways to make an impact is going to be significant. I mean, listen, they closed down the entire capital, of Washington over nothing. So imagine if you actually get people together and you're willing to confront and expose them on things that really do matter, you can really have quite an impact. And this is the thing I think that people oftentimes forget about government. And I've said this before, I believe that there's a lot of corruption in government. There is. And anybody who spends more than a few seconds looking into government, you'll start to realize there's something wrong here with how they're operating. And a mountain of corruption, though, is covered by an ocean of incompetence. And there's no group of people more incompetent than government and the people that we put in charge. And the bigger it gets, the more incompetent it gets. The thing they fear the most is exposure. Exposure scares them more than anything. And I'm telling you, people have to understand that. You haven't read as many emails as I have of state agencies, of employees, and terrified, not that they broke the law, not that they lost hundreds of millions of dollars, not that they, hired their brother and their dad and they gave them special deals, not that they stole money even. They don't care about that, but they do care about being exposed. And that exposure is something that you and I can do as citizens in a significant way. And it is not rocket science, it is not impossible, and people have been doing that for hundreds of years. Now, I'd rather not print, handbills and go door to door to drop them off, but even if that's what we have to do, whatever it takes to get out there and expose the truth, those are tools and abilities, and really then all we're talking about are tactics. What's the best way to do that? We know, Facebook suspended me for no reason given, and maybe they'll never let me back. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We shouldn't outsource our ability to work with our friends and neighbors and community just because it's convenient. We know that they're going to censor it, and government is really in league with big corporations like Facebook and all that. There's not really a dividing line there any longer. So it's up to us as citizens to find ways of communicating with each other. Video is a powerful tool. I use that as best I can. Thank you, Kevin, because without his help, I wouldn't be doing nearly as much video as I am right now. And our ability to write articles, run our own websites, host our own ways of communicating with each other, and finding other innovative ways of getting out there and doing things. I think we're going to be a lot more productive if we spend our time doing that. I'm not a big fan of rallies overall, but I do believe that the future belongs to those who show up. And you guys are showing up today. But we need to do more than just this. We need to start showing up, exposing the truth, and when we find that truth, making sure it gets shared widely, and making sure we share it with everybody. And then continuing down this path of fixing these issues. And we have to fix them, we have to confront them. But we have to play offense. We can't be spending our time doing defense all the time. We have to play offense. If you don't play offense, you don't win. And that is very true. Whether you're in sports or the military, doesn't really matter. That analogy is quite accurate. So join me, if you can, in coming up with ways, and groups, there's a lot of like-minded people here. Meet the people around you. These are the people in your community who are most likely to share your values and concerns and interests. Get organized. Find ways of meeting. And fortunately, you don't have to worry about the OPMA or a union. You can actually meet at home without either. And meet and organize and get focused on how to put pressure in Napavine, how to put pressure down here in Lewis County at your commission, how to put pressure in Olympia, targeted, focused on very useful things that you can do to make an impact. And I just want to use one example from 2 years ago, and then I want to close with this, because this is a classic example, and this is what terrifies government more than anything else. They want us to look crazy. They want us to look like a bunch of clowns and morons playing cosplay, right, dress up, and then they can mock us. That's what they want us to do.
That's right.
What they fear the most is what happened a couple years ago, out of the blue, in government's usual incompetent way. They had drafted a piece of legislation that was going to harm hairdressers in Washington State, of all things. Now listen, government does this every single day in Olympia. They destroy segments of the economy without even understanding what they're doing. They don't even care. They just do it by accident. They bumble into this stuff. And so they bumbled into this thing where they were going to wipe out hairdressers. And so the hairdressers got organized in less than 2 days. Hairdressers, okay, not exactly my idea of what a total activist looks like. And the hairdressers got organized and had 1,500 people down at the Capitol in less than 2 days. Mobbed every single... It was impressive. Yeah, and their hair did look good. And their signs were great, and they completely filled the Capitol. And they were in every single legislator's office. They testified. They filled up those rooms. They testified, and they were the unions were really pushing for this particular piece of legislation. And the people who sponsored, everybody backed off, right? The bill went away, and you've never seen it come back. Just some random group of people that got together and organized and went down there and stopped that stupid piece of legislation. Now imagine if we were able to do that more often. There's a lot of bad bills that we've killed in Olympia doing just that. Now I'd like it if we followed through on that and said, you know, who are the guys that keep pushing stupid bills and find ways of removing them. That's probably the next logical step. But let's start finding ways of getting effectively organized so that we have the ability to respond when it makes sense and when we can make an impact. And it starts by getting organized so you have the ability to do that. So I encourage you to meet people locally, get involved if you want to learn more. In addition to going to my website, We the Governed, I am planning to putting on training sessions to help activists get a little bit more organized around the state and maybe be a little bit more efficient. I value your time and your skills, and I think we need to not waste people's time. We need to focus on doing things that are going to be effective. I hope to help as much as I can. If you want to learn more, again, go to We the Governed, just send me an email, and I'm happy to help you as best I can. Thank you guys for coming out on such a cold day right next to the train track. So, all right, thank you.
Our next speaker isn't a gentleman who shies away from a fight. When you think about all the different things that people can say negatively about you, I heard about this guy in the news and from a few political elected leaders, and because politicians rank right down there with a car salesman, which is really unfair to car salesmen, I decided to find out who this guy was myself, and proud to call him a friend. Come on up, Patriot Prior, Joey Gibson.
All right, I'll be real fast. The sun's dropping, okay? And I know it's getting cold out here. And so I'm going to say a couple things real quick, things that's very important to me. As you guys know right now, there's a lot of crazy things happening in this country right now. You guys agree? Yeah. A lot of things happening, a lot of unknowns, okay? And so I want to say this right in the open. I want to say this right here, right now. The most important thing is put your foundation on something that is solid, okay? Put your foundation in God, okay? We have a lot of things happening in this country. I have no idea what the heck is going on. I don't know why they have 30,000 troops in D.C. I don't know why they closed down Olympia. I have no idea what's going on right now, but that's okay with me because I'm going to put my faith in God, and that's what we got to do moving forward. That's what we got to do. The thing is, you got to stop listening to the voice, okay? Something that I've had to learn, I've had to train myself to do. You have this voice in your head that's always saying that you're not good enough, your voice isn't big enough, the problem's too big, always trying to convince you that there's nothing that you can do. It is time to stop listening to that voice, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm telling you that's not from God, okay? That's coming from the liar who doesn't want you to understand how powerful you really are. Moving forward in this country, okay, you're going to have to get rid of that voice and you're going to have to do what is courageous. That's it, period, okay? I am sick and tired of politicians with their damn excuses. Every single day, we have to hear him say, well, I can't do this because of the union. I can't do this because of we're going to get sued. I can't do this because of that. Okay, but what about what is right? Right? What about what is right? That's the thing, okay, and I talk about this in all my speeches. There's nothing that we can do moving forward and fighting for this country. There's nothing that we can do, okay, if we're not willing to sacrifice. Right? I don't care about the excuses anymore. Stand up and be a leader, okay? Stand up and be a leader. I'm sick and tired of these politicians. Not just politicians, it's all of us, okay? I don't want to pick on politicians too much. We have a couple here today, okay? All right? But hey, we got some really good politicians. But but what I'm saying though is that we're just tired of it, okay? No more. It is time to pick a side, okay? And picking a side is not about Republican or Democrat, liberal, or whatever. It's not about that. It's just, are you going to stand for the people or not, okay? We're allowing the World Health Organization to dictate the rules in our own country. Do you guys know that? The Japanese Prime Minister said that we should call the Chinese Health Organization because it's ran by the Chinese communists, okay? Every single time you have these politicians that are standing for these lockdowns, even though they don't believe in them, they're listening to an agency outside of this country instead of listening to the people. Okay? And I'm sick and tired of it. I am done with it. Listen, you have all the social media, you had YouTube and Facebook, they literally went out and said that if you disagree with the World Health Organization, that we're going to ban you. Okay? So that means even doctors, that means even American doctors who want to come up and speak the truth, okay, they're going to get banned because the Chinese disagree with them. Okay? This is it. This is what I've been talking about. This is an act of war on the American people. These big corporations they have participated to silence the truth, okay? They're not for the people, they're with the Chinese communists and everyone else trying to destroy this country. You have people like Apple. Take Apple, for example. Apple, one of the biggest corporations in the United States of America, okay? They literally want to lecture you about hatred. They kick off Parler. They want to ban you, okay? But yet they have concentration camps in China, forced labor, having their technology made right now, okay? But they want to lecture you guys. So here's quickly. These lockdowns, okay, is here to benefit those who've sold out this country, the big corporations at the top. Like I've said, Walmart gets to stay open, all the big corporations, Amazon, they've gotten richer, right? While we, the middle class, continues to be destroyed, okay? So this is an act of war on the American people, okay? So this is the thing. Eventually, we're going to have to force these politicians to make a choice. Force these people, force the media to make a choice. The media, so far, they've decided to stand with the lies, to stand against the American people, and to lie to you every single day, and to censor the truth, okay? We need to say it exactly how it is, okay? That they've taken a side and is not with the people, okay? The thing is, if you continue to stay silent, you made a choice too. Do you understand that? We have a lot going forward, moving in this country, a lot, and I don't know the answer. I know that I lean on God, and I know that I lean on courage, I know that I lean on truth, okay? But you guys have got to do everything that you can to pick a side. God does not like lukewarm people, okay? Is that right? He wants you to pick a side. Stop trying to hide, and politicians are the best at this, okay? What this mayor is doing right now, and I don't want to say too many bad things about him, I've not met him personally, but what he's trying to do is trying to hide behind the governor. Okay? He's trying to hide behind the unions. He's trying to hide behind this, trying to hide behind that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not a leader. Okay? A leader gets up and does what he or she believes is right and deals with the consequences. That's what a leader is. And this is a thing about, and Glenn was talking about this, and I want to talk about this too, but it's very important that you guys fight at a local level for what is right. As small as this may seem, okay? All these things are adding up in our country. All of them because we allow it to happen. This mayor was so concerned about just this little, gathering right here because he's not used to the pressure, right? He wants to be able to get away with whatever he wants, okay? So my suggestion is that you continue to put the pressure on this mayor to do the right thing because it starts, you guys do it here, but we've got to do it in other cities and other cities and other cities and small towns. This is why I love going to the small cities, okay? And that stuff begins to add up because the revolution is going to start in small cities like this. Okay, the peaceful revolution. right? It's not going to start in Portland, even though they think they do every single day, or Seattle, or Olympia, or DC, or whatever. It's going to be the average people that stand up and demand freedom in their local county and their local city. You guys agree with that?
Yes, sir.
I believe so much in this country. Okay, this is why I fight for it. I fight for it, and I believe that there's something special about this country. I believe that good things will happen in this country, but the choice is ours, okay? The choice is with each and every single one of you. And this is what's very important, is that you cannot sit around and watch anymore, okay? And I don't care if there's, 30 people here or thousands of people. At the end of the day, change comes from the individual, okay? It comes from the individual who finally takes a stand and says, no more. I'm done sitting around. I'm done waiting. I'm going to go out there and try to make change, because I'm here to tell you, if you wait for other people to make the change for you, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The change that you want, that you're passionate about, okay, that God puts in your heart, He's putting in your heart as an individual, okay? So go out there and fight for what you guys believe in. Guys, thanks for coming out here in the freezing cold, and God bless you. Keep fighting. Keep fighting for the Planning Commission here.
All right, I'm going to ask there's a couple of folks here from City Council. Jim, if you'd come up, and Debbie off the Planning Council, and then Bob, come join me as well. While they're making their way up here, I wanted to say something real quickly. I make a very comfortable living with what I do in the online world, dealing with big tech. And I can tell you this much, that there have been a lot of different signals that I've been seeing from around, not just here in the United States, but from around the world. And I'll tell you what, when Twitter banned Trump, they signaled the start of internets that were actually going to spring up in various countries around the world. Like, foreign governments were looking at that and they go, how could an American big tech company ban their own president? We want nothing to do with them. Right. And you know what's going to happen is the old www is not going to mean much anymore, because you're going to see countries all over the world, besides what's happening here in this country. I think Twitter lost, or Facebook lost $34 billion in stock, and Twitter is down like $7 billion or something like that. It's a big chunk of money already that they've lost, and that's just going to get worse for them because of what they're doing. And folks like myself are looking for a lot of other options and exploring a lot of other options as far as online tech, because these guys have signaled the beginning of the end for them. Right, come on up. This is Jim, who's one of the city council members here in Napavine.
Right. I'm Jim Haslett, and I'm on the city council. I did not fall off the turnip truck yesterday. I was elected in 1995 when the city had gotten itself into a mess. And I served for 10 years. Got off the council, and lo and behold, the city got in a mess again. And I was appointed by the county commissioners, along with a couple of others, to get us out of this mess. And here we are. And I'd like to tell you that according to the RCWs, that's the Revised Code of Washington, we are supposed to run our cities according to those rules. And the Planning Commission advises the City Council. The City Council makes the decisions, not the mayor. Not the mayor. His job is to take care of the personnel, not to make rules. I was not advised of any vote to close the city hall. I have another council member here, and she will attest to the same thing. It was not done by the council, which according to law, that's how it's supposed to be done. Now I'm up here with the Beauty and the Beast. And I know she needs something.
I didn't know Larry was a beast. I'm sorry. Larry is so kind.
No, not Larry. I'm the beast.
Okay, I'm Debbie Graham. I'm position number 1 on the Planning Commission. And I am here to thank all of you for your support. The City of Napavine, the Planning Commission needs to be able to communicate with our constituents that need permits, that need access to their issues with the city. And we've not been able to do that inside, where we can look in people's eyes and communicate with each other and with the people who are wanting their requests, and to be able to pass it on to the council. So I really don't have much to say other than I want to ditto exactly what Bob said earlier. He was the first speaker. And I'm going to pass the mic on now to Larry, who is the chair of the Planning Commission.
I just am really appalled with our government had, and we do need to stand up, and we do need to we do need to try to make a difference. This is wrong. This is really, really wrong. They're breaking middle class America.
Breaking all of America.
Well, except for the people that are collecting welfare, and it's not right.
We want our freedom back.
This is the result of it. If I can do it for 15 years, you can do it for 4. Okay.
I just wanted to say something about legislative bodies. Through the course of the election process this year, I have taken special note of what is going on, and based on the experience that I've seen with the way the enemy works in our political processes, and not outside the political processes too. But in the political process, I've watched the enemy shut down free speech by first screaming for fresh free speech. Years ago, we seen with the left, where they were screaming to get into universities and on the campuses and stuff to be allowed to present their opinions and their ideology. But once they've gotten there, then they want to shut it down so that they're the only voice. And in relation to the legislative bodies, I've seen the same thing, and I would like to pray today for our legislative bodies all over the United States. I've seen where the voice of the people is under attack, and it's being shut down through the legislative processes by not allowing the legislative bodies to do their jobs. If any of you watched the news during the electoral process and watched some of the hearings that they had with the various states, Pennsylvania was one that was very, very stark to me. And as the mayor, the ex-mayor from New York, I never can say his name, but as he was in that hearing and he was talking to the legislators, they were totally taken back by the fact that they didn't get to do their job. And when I say didn't get to do their job, I'm not relieving them of the responsibility because they should have known their responsibility. But I think there's been a real push to close out the legislative body from making decisions, because with the legislatures you have multiple council. Now, like we have with the mayor here, that's one person making decisions. The legislative body that is supposed to be making the rules, there are multiple council. So there's been a real attempt for an attack by the enemy to close out the legislative bodies. First of all, to close out conservatives being elected. But I think today that we would do well to pray for our legislative bodies. I myself is on the city council, I'm Jim's wife. And I know, I feel the pressure of not standing up and being bold and declaring what is right. You're only one voice, but it's in a multiple of voices on the council. And one of the things that really stuck out to me on with the Pennsylvania legislatures was that there was one particular man that was very effective. And he could get his points across, he could get his opinions across, and he could sway the other legislatures. You know what happened to that man? He had a brain aneurysm. Mysteriously. He's not there anymore.
Yeah, we all know that's not the truth.
I know.
Yeah, we know that's not the truth.
We know that's not true. But this is the attack, and I would like to pray, first of all, protection on the legislatures, and then I would like to pray for a spirit of boldness and strength. And I would like to ask I think Dave Woodrum's out there somewhere, and ask him if he would come up and pray for them. Dave, would you do that?
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you what, we're going to do that just a little bit differently. Because believe it or not, we've got a plan. Sometimes it works, sometimes I get too close to the speaker. So I've got a question for you. What did you all think of these speakers that came from Kitsap County, Aberdeen, Hoquiam, Thurston County came down here? What do you think of them? I think they did a phenomenal job, and I would like to, I think we can all share in thanking you guys very, very much. There's one thing I would like to point out, and it's getting cold and we got to move on. But what I really want to point out, this is not about Napavine. Napavine is the tip of the iceberg. This is going on all over the state of Washington. But here's a plan. I want you to all think about it for a minute. Right now, Lewis County has 9 different municipalities. 3 of those municipalities are still open for public meetings. I'm going to name them right now. You've got Mossy Rock, Washington. You've got Winlock, Washington. You've got Bader, Washington. Now, what we need to do, that leaves, if my math is correct, we've got to get 6 more. So let's get this show rolling. Let's open up 6 more counties, and then we are going to surround Lewis County Commissioner District, and we are going to tell them to quit pandering to the state, quit pandering to the health department, and get our butts back in business.
Right. Amen.
So, the other thing is, these guys, like I just mentioned, have traveled a great distance, and if we would like them to continue to help us, and oh, by the way, we had one come from Vancouver as well. I forgot to mention Joey. If you guys want to see this effort continue, I would very much encourage you to there's a little hat up here on the table, got some lights on it. If you've got a few extra bucks to help reimburse these guys for some travel expenses and that sort of stuff, if you've got a few extra bucks, put a little more in so we can finance some more of this stuff, and we can get our county opened up, and then we can get the next county opened up, then we can get the state opened up. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask Bob to close us out in prayer, and the words of Laverne Hazlitt will probably be revealed.
Thank you. All right, let's bow our heads. I'd like to say recite the last two verses of the prophet Daniel in chapter 9, who was praying to the Lord, and it was in a very dark place, a very desolate place. And when he was done, the angel Gabriel came to him and gave him the prophecy that proves that the Bible is what it is, the Word of God. And he said this, "O my God, incline thine ear and hear, open thine eyes and behold our desolations, and the city which is called by thy name, for we do not present our supplications before thee for our righteousness, but for thine great mercies. O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, hearken and do. Defer not for thine own sake. O my God, for thy city and thy people are called by thy name." May the officials of this city of Napavine have their hearts open and their ears open and open again. And I pray for blessing on all who are here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Hey guys, real quick. I've spoken a few of these. Any money you want to give me, keep. I got a killer idea for it. Okay, Joey's right. Fate favors the bold, and you need to plant your flag. You have to plant your flag. But I'm going to give you an idea here on how to get your meetings open. I'm from Cowlitz County. In Longview, they fenced off a playground, Willow Grove Playground. They fenced it off a couple days ago. I called the guy who was responsible for doing that, and I asked him some questions. And this is what you guys need to do. The first question you ask your mayor is why he's not here right now. That letter is a slap in your face. Any leader who cares will stand here and answer your questions with conviction because they believe in what they're doing. So right there tells you what you need to know. I asked this guy, I said, why is our playground fenced off? Why? Well, it's been fenced off for a year. Bingo, that should tell you all you need to know right now. Why can children not go to playgrounds and play with their friends? They don't have an answer for that. Why can you guys not wear masks and social distance and go in here and have a meeting? Why? The second part of that is, who owns the repercussions for doing this? And I asked him, I said, we're seeing children kill themselves on Zoom meetings because they're depressed. Mental health and suicide is through the roof. And there's zero proof that COVID is spread through children on playgrounds. So when our kids continue to pass away, who answers for it? Who answers for it? And I said, I am holding you responsible for closing playgrounds because it leads to mental health issues in our children. And then I called Jeff Wilson, and Jeff Wilson's a stud. And I said, Jeff Wilson, what's going on? He said, dude, I already talked to those guys. We're on this. And then I posted on Facebook, and then I called a whole bunch more people. I believe Jim, I reached out to Jim. I reached out to everybody I could, anybody listen. And guess what? That has no fence today. There's a playground that does not have a fence today in Longview. I'm not stopping with that playground. But like they said, it starts right there. So now we've shown we can do it. So now Cowlitz County needs to be open. Now Washington. Now right here, you can do it. Yes. Every person in Napavine needs to let every resident know that whether you agree or disagree, our mayor did not show up here to answer to us. We should get our answers. And when you start asking the mayor and you get every single person here to ask the mayor, guess what? You're going to be having meetings in here soon. That's what it takes. That's what we got to do. Do it, guys. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your community.
Okay, thank you all very much. We're going to set up here for a planning commission meeting, so we're going to have it out in the parking lot yet one more time. I want to express my deepest appreciation for all of you coming this evening. And may God shed his grace on us. He's on our side. And may we be a blessing to God.
And I'll be at the rally on Thursday at 7.
It's sad. I think it's funny though that that's how our people have to assemble is in parking lots. It's crazy. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Where do you live again?
Vancouver.
So you're in Vancouver.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to come to them all though. So, well, I guess I missed one a couple weeks back at Yelm, but
I was sad. Town didn't back us up.
where what? Oh, that's right. You said you're outside of Olympia or something, right?
I live in Olympia.
Oh, you do. Okay. Yeah.
I can get to the capital in like 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Faster if I'm at my daughter's house. She's 2 blocks away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only reason why the cities are, yeah, right. That's pretty nifty. I think the only reason why our cities are falling prey to that is just the pressure. I mean, you know, these small towns, like, you figure what city council, 5 seats, 10 seats? You know what I mean? Maybe.
I think our only hope is to redefine the sovereignty and limitations of state, local, and federal governments. So that
well, there used to be
the mayor
division.
can take a stand of his town. The
There used to
governor
be
takes a
division.
stand. Yeah.
That's why when they said that they were gonna, you know, all the, you know, like L.A. and Seattle, they were gonna be what are they called? Free zones for the illegal aliens.
Yeah.
When they said that, I mean, realistically, they should have the power to do that. As much as we don't want that, we should be able to say we want our goddamn businesses open.
They want to fund it.
Yeah. I agree. But that's the problem, is like we can't get any give or go on
They're
any
like,
side.
oh, they're going to withhold federal money. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
My wife, she's Canadian. Half the time doesn't care about any of this stuff anymore. I mean, she's just like, do we have to pay state taxes? They're not doing anything I want them to do. We got homeless people all over the.
It's cool to see all these little towns fighting back, man. I wish I could have gone to that Yelm thing too, but we chose Eugene. There the same day. Is that a fucking cop watching this? No way that they have police watching this. That's crazy. Wild. Right?
Kevin. I'm not going yet. I just got a call.
What's up, dude? How you doing? Pretty good. You're busy, or I'd have given you.
What's that?
I'd have come and shook you up sooner, but I seen you was busy.
Yeah. Hey, Jake.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
What's up? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you.
Are you you're kind of back on YouTube a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
I finally. Yeah, I got unbanned off YouTube and Facebook. So.
Did your channel undisappear? Is that what happened?
Well, they just banned me from live. I was always able to post on there.
So you had a strike.
Yeah.
Because
Well, and I kept getting, getting extended.
I saw you and Black Rebel, Powell's.
Yeah,
crazy
yeah,
guy
yeah.
in the wheelchair. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I haven't met that guy yet.
Was that at Pals?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
guy's so crazy.
Yeah, he's wild.
You
He's
don't
wild.
want to meet him.
Andy
Yeah.
posted. Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, he's
I've
wild.
seen him. He was at the.
Did you see the next day though? When okay, so I wasn't down there, and
Wait,
there was
walk this way.
there was a group of dudes that went down there. There's only like 3 or 4 of them, and I don't even know who they were. And they started fighting with the people out front, dude, swinging. It was like 2 or 3 versus like 20 of them.
It was insane.
I was just like, holy shit! What in the world?
But I also saw like locals that seemed not happy that they were. I mean, I know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's Antifa's nest.
Well, that's why Palace just caved into not selling it, is because they decided it just wasn't worth it financially.
And then that guy
I mean-
Bill started blaming Andy Hill for their loss of sales.
Yeah.
They've been out there protesting.
Did you see his video? He dropped a video on his little Twitter or whatever, and he was basically like, he's like, you know, I'm gonna call the protest off at Powell's Books, and he's like, you know, congratulations, you guys won. You know, racism, fear, and hate wins again. Like,
Dude, when he's giving his speech,
I don't know, man.
To cry and be like, they doxed me and all this stuff.
Well, dude, he always says he gets maced and beat up by the cops, and there's not one video of him being beat up or maced by any cops.
He claims Andy No ruined his life.
Oh, yep. That motherfucker, what? That is a cop. He was sitting over there watching this the whole time.
Dude, the sheriff, they're not friendly.
Really?
He was pissed, dude. He's been waiting to do that all night.
So what do you think? Someone took off going a little too fast, huh?
They probably just, dude, I don't know, but he was here chomping on a cigar. Like when I got here, no one else was here. He just like,
he's probably the only one too, huh?
He is. He's like the only dude. He was not happy.
He ain't enjoying
I
it.
talked to Bob because he runs this. Well, he runs like a lot of the stuff around here. He's like, dude, he's not happy right now.
I don't. Well, I mean, I don't blame him. People are showing up from out of state.
He just pulled someone over.
Yeah, he literally just pulled someone over up the road. Crazy, man.
I don't want to be the last one to leave because I don't want to. He's gonna do it again.
Oh, I'm sure he's already sitting down there again. No, I know.
I understand they're live on front.
Oh, what?
Like they brought the big rig out for the lights. Hey everybody, I really appreciate you guys coming out here. I know this is probably your guys' town, so I'm probably the guest more than anything, but I go around and film these events, and it's really hard to organize people, so to see people out even for something small like this, it means a lot. So I wanted to give you guys a business card.
Where are you from?
I'm from Vancouver.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
my name is Jake Beard.
Yeah, so...
Are you from a Beard from Winlock?
No. I might have family up there and I don't know, but no. Not that I know of. Yeah, so...
There was a man named Beard that lived in Winlock.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I'm from Vancouver, and I just, I'm trying to organize people down there to kind of stand up and do the same thing, and...
It's hard in a bigger city.
You know, as you guys know, Portland's 20 minutes away from there, and it's just a cataclysm of nastiness. Yeah.
Right now, I'm sure you're really...
Yeah, it's settled down a little bit, but I mean, it seems like they've, instead of organizing, you know, nightly events where they go out and destruct stuff, it seems like they have these big blowouts once a month now, so, and that's tomorrow. So, hopefully I'm going to try and work my way down there, but... Well, that's the idea of organizing more Patriots together, and that's why I like seeing stuff like this, even though it's small, you know what I mean?
So is there any way for someone like you to find out if Antifa or BLM was involved with pretending to be a Trump patriot?
Well, I think they've pretty well proved that.
Have they?
Oh, they've pretty well proved it. The problem is if people don't want to believe it. Because they want to believe that we're racist, you know, white supremacists.
I said to all my friends, I said, that wasn't Trump supporters. I said, that was Antifa.
Well, here's the thing here's my perspective on it. Yes, there was Antifa and BLM there. Yes, they did destruct stuff. Yes, they did steal property. But here's the thing. There was patriots that marched into that Capitol.
They were sheep.
I think that here's what we need to start saying though instead is we are a very angry group of people and we are very upset at what happened. But our voices don't need to be heard like that. So I'm all for.
They're blaming it on us.
I'm all for, you know, rushing the cow, you know, whatever. But as far as destruction of property and stealing and hurting police officers, that stuff, that's unacceptable.
That's not.
Doesn't solve
That's not
anything.
what we're about.
The MAGA.
Yeah.
That's not
No,
the
it's not the
MAGA.
movement. Yeah.
I mean, consistency should have been the answer to that. That was the first time something like that had ever happened.
You know what I suggest is from now on, instead of calling us Trump supporters, it should be the MAGA movement or the Patriot movement. Because when you, from what I've found,
No, but patriot is the secret word.
well,
That's the
from what
secret
I've
word.
gathered, Trump is a triggering word in general. Okay, so if you say I voted for Trump, oh, instantly you're a bad person. If you live in a liberal outset, if you will.
Shocking because he's done the best job.
I agree with you.
MAGA?
I say we're the MAGA group.
MAGA group.
Yeah, the MAGA party, if you will. Because I feel like if you say that, then we move away from, you know, Trump's the bad guy, Trump's the orange guy that's leading us. It's more of we the people are, you know, upset and we want a movement. So that's what I think. That's just my personal opinion.
They blame it on us.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as soon as you remove Trump out of your name, though, you'll go back to being an ordinary citizen. They don't like Trump. I really do believe that's what it is.
Okay.
I love him.
They don't like him because he found out.
The truth.
He found out the
Yeah.
truth. And
He's revealing a lot of it, too.
and they don't like it.
Mhm.
They don't
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, the fact that he's declassified everything, yeah.
That's why they don't like
It's big.
us, because-
Yep.
Yeah.
Because we stand with him.
And we need to be reprogrammed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what they want to do to us because our white skin and
The white privilege.
To do with
Yeah, they wanna-
white skin.
they
I'm,
wanna re- they
I'm
wanna-
Native American. I don't need to be.
But they want to reprogram us.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's my opinion. I don't need to be reprogrammed. I have a mind of my own.
They won't be able to reprogram you. Don't let them. Keep standing up for what you believe in. It's right. It's the right thing to do.
I got 65 plus years believing the way I am, so I'm not changing.
Good.
Okay, I better scoot. I'm gonna go home and
Great to meet
What was your name?
I'm Therese.
Therese. Nice to meet you.
Okay, good. Take care.
Well, I'll shake your hand in a minute. Have a good night.
I want to just talk to you about that.
So yeah, there was a cop that was pulling people over already as they were leaving the parking lot. Like, Jesus, dude, are you that upset? You really that upset about this, huh? I guess when we rolled up, he was coming and questioning people and stuff too, like what we were doing here and what our plan was, and like, holy smokes, man. Can't even peacefully gather anymore. It's crazy. Wild.
Good. Tell him I said it.
Well, I think everybody's kind of clearing out. All right. Well, I'm going to take this camera off here so that I can face it towards myself. Hold on 1 second. Hi, guys. All right. So, like I said, this is Napavine, Washington. We're out here in front of the town hall. The planning commission has been locked out by the mayor because they're trying to go against what the mayor wants, of course. And the mayor is supported by Jay Inslee and backed by Jay Inslee and supports the mandated lockdowns. And I mean, as you can see, if you look around, I mean, this is the main road down Napavine. This is a rural, more than rural. This is like farm town. This is industry. There's train tracks that run right through the middle of town. So that must mean that, there's no sound ordinances. There's one sheriff in all of town. This is small town community, and these people, quite frankly, weren't affected by a lockdown. Weren't affected by COVID, and this is their town hall. Look at how big it is. It's very small, very meek, very small town population. These people do not need to be locked down, and that's what the planning commission is here for. And a lot of them are wanting to end the lockdowns and get their liberties and freedoms back in this county and specifically in this town. And That's what this meeting was about. And they're actually, if you look over here, that is town hall. They are actually having their town hall meeting outside on the porch instead of in the building. Very interesting. I definitely don't think it should be like that. Here's the sheriff again. He's gonna harass some more people because he doesn't like what's going on apparently. But yeah, I mean, here we are. Everybody's kind of cleared out, so I'm gonna head home. Be looking for a live stream tomorrow. Not sure what time. I kind of need to gather some more intel, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna head home. Stand strong, Patriots. I know today it probably wasn't the best news, but we have to keep standing strong. We're the Patriot Party. We're the MAGA Party. We're not the Trump supporting party. That's what we need to get off of. Okay, if truly this is over, it's over. We need to get off being Trump supporters. We are the MAGA group. We are the Keep America Great, whatever we want to call ourselves. But I supported Trump. I backed him. I voted for him twice. This is what it is. We got to keep our heads held high, and small little meetings like this is where it starts. So keep the faith, guys. All right, I'm logging out. Later.